Hello parents, my name's Catherine Duthie and I am the reception teacher that your children will have next year. I know most of you have come from our kindergarten department, whilst we have a few new parents as well. So we're looking at 10 children starting in September, fairly even balance between boys and girls, 4 boys and 6 girls currently. A new girl and a new boy joining us, so welcome to Chloe and to Timmy. Hope you are happy at Woodlands. It's a funny start to the term or to the year for us all. Hopefully you will have been able to have a look at the video I posted this morning or earlier today. You may well have got the link at the same time as for this one, and that just showed you where the classroom is in relation to the kindergarten or where you come into the main school, and what it's like inside as well, so that both you and the children will have had a chance to have a look round virtually, although you won't have been able to have a look in person. Now, most of the kindergarten children I have met. They may or may not remember me, but I've seen them in the dining room, and I've seen them when they've been out at playtimes, and I've done the odd playground duty for them as well. So I can put a face to the name of most of the children, which is a good start. Now, I can't give you too many details as yet because those have yet to be finalised as to how we're going to actually operate on that first day in September, but you will be informed all in good time. Obviously, those of you who've been coming to school already at kindergarten will be used to the drop-off and the one-way systems and so on and so forth. Obviously, the government have given out new guidelines, and that's why we need to look at the changes that we can make. I'm hoping that I can move my tables closer together, because we'll be in a bubble together, and it's deemed not as essential, as it were, and early years is luckier still that we don't have to socially distance. Well, the children don't anyway. It's having worked this half term back in school, I've loved being with my class, and I know that however we start the year in September, we will have an amazing time together, and your children will flourish and they will learn, and you'll see their learning take off just like that. It will be wonderful. So I thought I would just share with you some information. I'm sending you an information pack which I would give out normally at my information meeting, and it starts off with just, you know, some information here on Mrs. Oram's email and the school telephone numbers, and just a little bit about what EYFS is. Reception is the last year in the EYFS, the early years curriculum, foundation stage, and at the end of the year we do have to report to the government, to the local authority, on the early learning goals and where your children have reached them, whether they've exceeded or whether they're emerging. Obviously they'll have got off to a great start prior to September, and we look at their baselines to see where their starting point is come September. Obviously we know, obviously particularly this year, that things may well be not quite as they would be normally in terms of starting points. We have a home communication book, and that's a brilliant place if you need to write down a message for me, or whether it's about a drop-off or a pick-up, or they've lost something, or you're just wanting to know what's happened or why something is going on. You can email me or write it in there, and I can get back to you. I think that's been very much the case in kindergarten. The other time is just at the end of the day. I'm always available. That's one of the wonderful things about Woodlands, that we have a very open door policy. So if you need to speak to me, I am usually available. If you're a working parent, and as I know some of you will be, then email me, and we can always arrange a meeting. And who knows, maybe, you know, Teams will be a way forward for us all to speak face to face a little easier if you're working otherwise. My big thing for when the children start is for them to be happy. I really believe that if children are not happy, they're not going to learn and they're not going to flourish. So your child coming into school happy and looking forward to learning is my number one. And then obviously from that, the prime areas of the curriculum, speaking, listening and communicating, physical development and their personal, social education, those are their prime areas. And actually the other subjects, literacy or English and maths, are specific areas. They're not actually part of the prime curriculum. They are deemed at this age not less important, but a slightly different relevance, so to speak. So just moving on. I normally talk about uniform. Our website, if you go onto our Woodlands website, there is a link there that you can click on and it takes you to the uniform. I have included details of exactly what your children will need to be wearing in the various terms. Particularly important for those of you who are completely new to the school. It does get a bit confusing because the children start a year wearing summer uniform. So that's what you will need to buy first. And then we switch after October half term, but I have written all of that down for you. They need, probably it will be, what normally happens is the children wear full school uniform, so that's their pinafore or their shorts, 3 days a week, and then 2 days a week, because we have PE twice a week, they're the days that they wear their PE uniform. And also just remember that jogging bottoms, part of the PE uniform, they can be worn all year round. Some people think, no, that's just for the winter months, but that isn't the case. If it's a cold, early October morning, you'll want those joggers on. So that is fine. They're not specific to one particular season. Okay. The other thing that we do, either every week or every 2 weeks, depends, is Forest School. Now, those in kindergarten will have already been enjoying going down to Forest School. And those new to the school, you will love it too. Myself and Mrs. Bennett, we are both Forest School trained, and Mrs. Bennett has been working last year with kindergarten, but I'm Forest School trained as well, and I was very much, well, I set up the Forest School that we have now, having gone on my training, and was full of enthusiasm, and I still love going down there. Last week with my current class, we built a trap to capture a dragon, because we've been looking at fairy tales, and we felt that that was the ideal place to go and trap a dragon. And we had lots of fun digging a hole, covering it, putting leaves and twigs on it to camouflage, and then we waited and hid to see what we could find. I'll give you more an update another time, but I do list all the Forest School clothes. When it gets to the colder months, we still go out, so you need to layer up. Often I say to the children, leave their polo tops on, and then they put a long sleeve t-shirt on, and then they put a sweatshirt on, then they put their coats on and their hats, and bottoms wise, if they wear, girls keep your tights on underneath, then you put leggings on, then you put your waterproof trousers on. All of the Forest School clothes are bought outside, away from the school shop. We do tend to wear either the school raincoat, or you can provide your own. So some of the children have the all-in-one waterproofs, or others have ski jackets. They do get muddy, but that's part of the fun of it. And it wouldn't be Forest School if you didn't get a bit of mud on you. Lots of spare gloves and spare socks are essential, and we tend to leave that all at school, and then I send it home every half term. Wellies stay at school as well, and we use those at lots of different times of the year or the week. If it's wet outside at playtime, we just pop our wellies on, and off we go and splash in muddy puddles. Obviously, please, I know I don't have a big class like in a state school, but it still can be quite tricky because our uniform is very specific to tell whose item of clothing is whose when it's not named. I have used those sticky, I think I got them from Stickkins for my daughter, just the sticky labels that you just peel off and stick in, and they don't come off in the wash, and they stay there until it's time to hand it on to somebody else. But please name everything. No earrings to be worn either swimming days or PE days, and that's about it for the uniform. So I have mentioned the curriculum already a little bit to you. We carry on using Tapestry, which many of you, if not all, will be familiar with. We use it in a very different way though to kindergarten. They very much like to take a photo. There's more staff in kindergarten, the ratio is different. It can be just me working with the children, so it's not going to be a snapshot like it is in kindergarten. I use it very much as part of my evidence towards the early learning goals, and I sort of go in fits and starts. There might not be anything, and then there'll be lots. It depends on how quickly I've managed to upload all my photos, but believe you me, there is learning going on. And I always say to parents who look a bit shocked or worried that they're not going to have as many photos as they were used to in kindergarten, that, well, I'd much rather be reading with your child than taking a photo. So that's my argument. But it is a brilliant tool, and it is very much part of our evidence gathering, if you like, for our assessments. But knowing your child is something that we will learn and very, very quickly. And when we've had meetings with local authority, which are called moderation meetings, they very much talk about you being able to speak about the children, and what you know about them is incredible after a year. So we still use Tapestry. Those of you who are new to the school, I will send out the online forms for you to fill in as well. Lessons. Now we teach phonics. We teach our phonics through the Read Write Ink programme, and that's been done 4 times a week. Well, every day we actually teach phonics, and we haven't had lessons in the same way over this last half term because obviously we're in our bubbles. So I'm just going to say that we teach phonics, and we practice our sounds daily. We do it as a whole class in addition to the groups, the phonic groups that we've had, and we teach to the top, so that those children who perhaps don't know their sounds or as many sounds as other children, we still pitch and expose them to those sounds that they will learn. I also, after about half a term, I start sending home sight words for the children to learn. They're the tricky words. All the red words is what Read Write Ink call them. And as the children progress through those phases, I award them with certificates. And then once they've learned all their words, generally about the summer term, they start learning to spell some of them, or have spelling patterns to learn as well. But it's all done in a very sort of informal way. Maths is taught through a mixture of child-led and adult-initiated activities. We as a school use Inspire maths program or maths scheme, which is a Singapore-based mastery approach, and I'm the maths lead for the school. And at the beginning of lockdown, I actually took a early years maths course online, which was one of the most amazing courses I've ever done. And I've been able to sort of start using some of what I've learned, which we'd already been dabbling in, but it's kind of made my understanding of why we do it that much more, enormous and holistic. So we'll be doing lots of subitizing with your children, and everything is all about building number sense. One of the things that my course has given me the confidence to say is that you don't really need to learn anything above 10. So although children love big numbers, and I wouldn't stop them from looking at a bus and saying, well, that's a 352 or a 352, that's fine. But if you think about it, as long as you know everything there is about numbers to 10, you can then work on numbers that are larger, because we work in a base 10 system, so everything is about a finished 10 and then however many of the next 10. So 14 is one finished 10 and 4 of the next 10. So that gives you an idea, and the 14 is just a nickname that we give it. Lots of other countries, it's a 10 and a 4, or a 4 and a 10 that they refer to their team numbers as. So subitizing, looking at the patterns, looking at the conceptual patterns that they can see, and really building up their knowledge of everything they know about a number in many different variations. And that then leads us on to start using the Inspire program in the summer term. And we dovetail that still with the work that the practical work that we do within class. And prior to that, the work we do in class is very much linked to the NCETM and the Number Blocks program. Some of your children might well have not watched Number Blocks, and that again uses the whole sort of visual concept as well. Specialist lessons, the children have PE, swimming, drama, creative arts, French, and then of course Forest School every week. Now, expectations. Reading is the most important life skill probably that your children will learn, and I want you to think back as well. When your child learnt to walk, and I can remember when my daughter learnt to walk, there were children who learnt before her, and then there were others who learnt a couple of months after her, but they all learnt to walk, and they can all walk as well as one another. And it's exactly the same with reading. So just because your child, you might feel, hasn't picked it up, the skills quite yet, it doesn't mean they're struggling, it doesn't mean they're not going to, it doesn't mean that once they've begun to read they're not going to absolutely accelerate. They will get there. And I know it can be very tempting to say and have those conversations about, oh, what colour band are they on, or what colour book has your child got, and then worry because yours is on a different colour, or feel slightly, proud, as you all should, and think, well, mine's on this colour. Everybody gets there. I don't make a big thing of it with the children as to what colour they're on. I just praise them as individuals. And sometimes children are fabulous at reading, but they don't have the understanding. They don't have that comprehension. Whereas there's other children who know exactly what's going on in a story and can predict, and already, using inference when you speak to them about a book. But they then find the actual mechanics a bit more tricky. The two are very much interlinked. The more you read with your child, the more you read to your child, the more quickly they will make progress. And obviously, if you're reading books to them that are slightly more challenging than the books they read, that's going to expose them to new vocabulary as well. And I love it when the children in my class turn around and say to me, what does that word mean? You know, it happens every day, which is great. I can't think of the word that I was asked today. It might have been explicit, but it was when I was explaining something to a child, and he asked me that. As I said already, they will have weekly sessions where I look at their tricky words, and I hear them read twice a week usually, in greater depth, but every day we hear them read. Homework, they get homework usually on a Friday. I'll send something home that links to the maths that we've been looking at that during the week, and it's very much a chance to consolidate their learning. So you know, it's not a stretch and challenge activity, it's a consolidation activity. But obviously I want to, you know that they're reading every day, practicing their read, write, ink words, or their tricky words. You know, that the reading is the most important part. If it's a real battle, homework, then leave it and just have a conversation with me. I've been a parent of a child who doesn't enjoy homework, so you know, we can talk about that and look at ways that, you know, we can support one another. I've also included some information on the sort of things that we hope that your children will be able to do. So if they're still a little dependent on you getting them dressed in the morning, if you're in a rush over the hot summer, let them do it. Let them practice, you know, with those buttons on the polo shirts, or tucking their shirts into their trousers. Have a trial run of putting on your school uniform and taking it off again. The pinafore dresses can be a little problematic. We will help them, of course we will, but obviously, you know, what independence is something that, you know, is very important, and the children at Woodlands are very independent and confident as well. Using a knife and fork, popping on their shoes, taking them off, checking that they've got them the right way round, and obviously saying goodbye to you as well. Now, I know that the kindergarten children were fantastic when they came back, and my class in reception were too. Amazing how resilient our children are. And I'm sure that, you know, those first few days it might be a little strange saying goodbye, and if a child does ever get upset, we are more than happy to ring you or send a photo via Tapestry to let you know that they've settled, and they normally do pretty quickly after you've left, so please don't worry. Now, just a couple of more things that you've got to listen to me. A reading folder. This one is a brilliant size. It's A4 plus. I had a Google earlier on. Amazon do sell them, but in multi-packs, but you can get them from WH Smith's, I think I saw, but obviously you can get them in other places. Try and get an A4 plus one though, because we put quite a lot of books and bits and pieces inside, so they might bring home a read, write, ink folder, they might bring home a reading book that is A4 or slightly larger, so they can get heavy, and those ones are quite strong, so they can withstand quite a lot of stuff going in. In terms of what to bring in, obviously if we were having something specific, show and tell, then that would be fine. If it's a book linked to the topic we're doing, that's fine, or you've been out and want to share something, but leave the children's toys at home. Because I always worry that they could get lost or broken, and then it just becomes one big sort of show and tell, and that's for special occasions, but I'll let you know when. Water bottles, the clear ones are the better ones. We do have Woodland School ones, but you can't see what's in them, so a clear bottle is fine. Just put their name on it. Most of you will be used to doing that anyway. I've already mentioned about the homeschool book. My email address is in the handout that I'm sending you as well, and I've put in there about coming to school and collecting your children. Usually it's from the classroom door. Obviously this term we have taken the children to the gate near the entrance where you come in, and that's our drop-off and collection zone. Whether that will still be the same come September, I don't yet know, but obviously any changes I will let you know as soon as I know that information. We have celebration assemblies. Again, assemblies is something that's all been put on hold. We do have them virtually. Mr. Bell does them every day on Teams for us to watch in the class, and we still have our celebration assembly on a Friday. But obviously we don't, at the moment they're not going to be in the gym, which is a shame. Hopefully that's given you a lot of information, or may have put your mind at rest, or answered some of the questions you may well have. If you do have any more questions, then just email me or phone, ask to speak to Mrs. Oram, and I can always phone you back. I'm more than happy to talk to you and offer you any reassurance or advice if I can. And I look forward to starting our learning journey together in September. I hope you have a lovely summer holiday, a break rather than perhaps a trip abroad from the norm. But stay safe, and I shall look forward to seeing you in person in due course. Bye for now.